Donald Trump has made history, but it's the kind of dubious distinction nobody would want on their resume. Trump has become the first US president ever to become a convicted felon. On Thursday, he was found guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records to pay hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels on the eve of the 2016 presidential election. Daniels' alleged sexual encounter with Trump was at the center of this case. The New York court where the trial was held has set 11th of July for his sentencing. Theoretically, Trump could face a prison term or probation with a hefty fine. Trump's criminal conviction presents a remarkable collection of historic firsts for the United States. He's the first former or serving US president to be found guilty of a crime. He is the first presumptive major party nominee to become a convicted felon as well. Remember, he's expected to be declared the Republican Party candidate for the November presidential election just days after his sentencing. Many Americans, especially Democrats, hailed the verdict, saying Trump's first criminal trial reaffirmed the principle on which the United States is founded, that everyone is equal and that no one, not even a billionaire and former and possibly future president, enjoys impunity. Trump, who will appeal the verdict, lashed out on Thursday, calling the verdict a disgrace and attacked the judge. Trump said, "I'm a very innocent man," and the entire trial was rigged. He added the real verdict is going to be on the 5th of November by the people. Significantly, Trump has found tremendous support from fellow Republicans and his core supporters following the verdict. So much so that his donation website crashed hours after the verdict, with money for his presidential campaign pouring in. The Biden campaign said the verdict showed that no one is above the law and has urged Americans to make sure Trump doesn't return to the White House. Now, just in case you thought the conviction ruled Trump out of the White House race, here's a reality check. Trump can still run for president despite the conviction. Nothing in the US Constitution bars a convicted criminal from running for the country's highest office. Legally, nothing changes with Trump's status as a candidate. Theoretically, Trump faces prison when he's sentenced on the 11th of July, but legal experts say a fine is more likely. It's not just the hush money case. Trump faces 4 criminal cases in all, including charges related to an alleged conspiracy to overturn the result of the 2020 election and his handling of classified documents after leaving the White House. Ironically, Trump may not be able to vote as a convicted felon, but he can still run for president. Polls indicate he is in a statistical dead heat with President Joe Biden and maintains a slight edge in key swing states that will decide the election. The conviction seems to have made no difference to die-hard Trump supporters. Even some Democrats seem to think what voters will be thinking about in November is inflation, immigration, competition with China and Russia, and the money being spent on Israel and Ukraine rather than Trump's conviction in the hush money case. Then there are those who believe the conviction will be damaging for Trump, and even a slight drop in his support could be enough to tilt the scales in the kind of razor-thin race this presidential contest is expected to become. If a few thousand voters who would have otherwise backed the former president stay home in a key state like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, it could make all the difference. But as we said, leading Republicans were quick to rally behind Trump after the verdict. House Speaker Mike Johnson called it a shameful day in American history. He said this was a purely political exercise, not a legal one. For 8 years, many have been predicting Trump's impending political collapse, only to be proven wrong. His 2016 presidential campaign was punctuated by multiple scandals that could have easily felled an ordinary politician or presidential candidate. But Trump's party largely stuck with him through 2 impeachments and the chaotic end of his presidency, during which the US Capitol was attacked by a mob of his supporters. None of this prevented the former president from pursuing a political revival that has put him in a position to win back the White House come November. Therefore, could this conviction just be the latest in a long series of seemingly disruptive events which actually turned out to be mere bumps on Trump's path to power? As would have been expected among an electorate that Trump has constantly polarized, the verdict has been greeted with fury by his supporters and jubilation by his critics. But some argue this is a somber, even tragic passage of US history. Americans have never seen a former president convicted of a crime, and a country already torn apart by bitter political and cultural polarization is likely to face a rocky time ahead. So we're asking on Global Lens tonight, what does Trump's conviction mean for his presidential campaign, the presidential election in November, the office of the US president, American politics, and its people? Is this the biggest acid test for American institutions and its political system? Could Trump still go on to become the US president even after becoming the first president to become a convicted felon? Are we about to witness history being made in all dubious ways possible in the world's oldest democracy and most powerful country on the planet?